Okay, so it seems that there's a couple of players that are kind of annoyed at the recent rankings of Roccia in the Wuthering Waves tier list. Now, if you don't know, Prydwen runs a Wuthering Waves tier list, which shows you, which characters are doing good, which characters are doing bad, whether you should pull for it, really. I think it is a big kind of indicator on whether, you should actually pull for a character. But obviously, that isn't the entirety of why you should pull for a character, But Prydwen has had a couple of stinkers in the past. I'm going to be real. There was a whole incident of them, having some pretty bad stuff. But it seems like they've got a new team actually on board, and they've been doing a really good job at actually fairly rating a lot of these characters, providing builds, providing teams, providing rotations, stuff like that, which seems like they have actually stepped up their game a bit, and now it actually seems like a pretty credible place to go to. Now, obviously, we will still hold them accountable to whatever they do wrong, but honestly, they've been doing pretty good recently, and they've been adding a lot of new stuff to the actual website. Now, obviously, if we go to the changelog, we can look at Roccia. Now, obviously, Roccia is the new character that came out. A lot of people have been very excited for her. It actually had one of the highest days of sales recently, so obviously a lot of people are really enjoying it. Now, obviously, that was only in Japan, though, the highest day of sales. Now, they go through the list of changes on the 23rd of January 2025. They say Roccia was added to the tier list T1 hybrid. So they've rated her at tier 1. They say Roccia is a specialist focused on buffing specifically Havoc basic attacks. This means Roccia, while strong, is dedicated to a few specific teams, and the main one being Camellia and Havoc Rovers. Unfortunately for Roccia, she faces stiff competition in both from S6 Sanhua, who does a similar job but can also play within far more meta team compositions. As a result of this, Roccia lands herself in T1 for now. With that said, it's worth noting that Roccia is an AoE gathering monster. Endgame is currently very single target focused, but in the future that may change. When that happens, Roccia is likely to ascend the tiers as she gains an edge over her competitors. Now, this is the main point that people need to remember, okay? Roccia is not cooked, okay? People have been saying online, on Twitter and stuff like that, oh, Roccia's cooked, she's terrible, she's not even tier 0 like the rest of these characters. We gotta, just kind of, put it into context that not every character is going to be a tier 0 character, And that's just the reality of gacha games. Not every character is going to be the best. Now, obviously, we've had a good run recently with, obviously, Carlotta, and then also we've had, who else was it? Well, we had Zhezha on the banner, but, Carlotta has been pretty high. Camellia before has been pretty high. Shorekeeper has been pretty high. These are all pretty new characters. But now, obviously, it's time to make way for some of the lower characters that might be good for a specific reason, but may not be good overall. Because let's be real, a lot of these characters further up here are good because they are pretty versatile. That's one of the big reasons why, characters do get rated up. And I think Roccia just falls into the category of, she is super specific. And a lot of people do need to realize that. Now, a lot of people do realize that she is very, very good in terms of adding them to Havoc basic attack teams. As they said, you can add them to a team with the Rover, or you can add them to a team with Camellia, obviously, because they do Havoc basic attack damage. But again, they're not really going to do much with Carlotta or Jinchi, which again doesn't mean that they're terrible. It just means that they're good for specific teams, and means that they're not good just all around, which obviously is going to put them a little bit lower, because obviously we've got characters like Zhezha who work very well with Jinchi, work very well with Carlotta, work very well with so many more characters, which again is great. And also we got Sanhua, who people have been using before in Camellia teams and stuff like that, who is pretty good overall. Her kit is really quick as well, so you can kind of just quickly go in, do her abilities, swap out, and then get into Camellia or whichever character you're using. But also she works in other teams as well. She doesn't have to work just in the Camellia team. She can also buff some other characters too, which again is going to be really, really great. And I feel like, that is why she is much higher, because people are saying, well, what's the point in pulling in Roccia if, Sanhua is still higher? Because, Sanhua was supposed to be the one that was supposed to be replaced. People thought, wait, but I thought Sanhua was a worse kind of unit. Well, Roccia actually is better, I'm pretty sure. I think she's better for Camellia and, Havoc characters. It's just the fact that she's not as versatile, and that's why she is lower. And I think a lot of people are freaking out over that and not really realizing the true meaning behind it. Now, obviously, as they said here, as characters come out in the future, we're going to get some more Havoc characters, Havoc basic damage characters or whatever. They're going to be a little bit weird, and maybe, they require a Roccia to actually buff them. And we've seen this in the past with a lot of other games as well. For example, Ruan Mei, whenever she first came out, people thought she was going to be absolutely ass, and she actually turned out to be pretty decent. She's in pretty much all of my Super Break teams and stuff like that, and she does really, really good. But that only happened over time, and I feel like Roccia might be one of these where it does kind of take a little bit for her to, you know, kind of ramp up. The same even with Zhezha in this game, you know. Zhezha, everyone at first was like, I don't really see it. She's just only good for Jinshi at the moment. But now, you know, she's evolving to be a pretty, you know, useful character with characters like Carlotta and some other characters as well that she works well with, which again is going to be really, really good for the future. So I think, you know, Roccia will be a future investment. And obviously, you know, as new characters come out, as new metas, you know, evolve, Roccia might go up the tier list a little bit, and we might see her further up here later on, but currently people are freaking out because she started off at a tier 1, but honestly, it's nothing to worry about. Obviously, you know, I think that's totally valid. I think I see why Prydwen have put them there, and obviously, there's been a couple of other changes as well. For example, Yanyang was moved up to tier 2. They're saying Yanyang has been a substantial increase in use recently, thanks to the addition of Carlotta, who she's proven to perform strongly with one of the best free-to-play options for her. This, on top of her previous viability in quickswap teams with either Zhangli Yao or Changli, has earned her an increase in rating, which I think is totally fair. Obviously, the use of Yanyang has actually gone up recently, and you know, a lot of us have seen that. I haven't actually been using her because, again, for Carlotta, I wanted to get her best like supports and everything like that, so I ended up pulling on Zhezha, stuff like that. But if you are free to play, then she is, you know, pretty decent as well, which again is great to see. Now, obviously, also we got the final one being Mortefi actually got put down to T 0.5, and they say Mortefi has been at the top of our tier list since 1.0, and for a good reason. When combined with Jian, he forms the backbone of one of the strongest teams, which still stands today. However, with so many diverse damage dealers and more meta viable teams than ever available, Mortefi still only works at the highest level with Jian. For this reason, we're lowering his tier for now, but expect him to be right back up when we get more heavy attackers for him to play with, which should be available soon. Which again, that makes a lot of sense as well. I feel like, you know, as more characters come out and the less that Mortefi works with some of these new characters, then obviously the less useful he's going to be, which obviously isn't as good. Also, he's actually tier 1, sorry. I don't know why I said tier 0.5. I think it just meant down from tier 0.5. I don't really know, but hey, you know, it seems like he's been moved down for now, but I don't think this is going to be forever. Again, as I said, as heavy attackers come out, as some new characters come out, you know, he's still going to be great. And it's kind of in the same situation as Roccia, you know, he's good in certain situations. He's really good with a Gion team, stuff like that, but maybe he won't work with some of the new characters, which just moves him down a bit because, you know, he's less viable and less flexible in some other teams, which is totally okay. You know, your character doesn't have to be good with every single character, and, you know, it doesn't mean that they have to be T0 or anything like that just because they're good in one team. And I think a lot of people are freaking out a little bit over some of these kind of placements, and obviously, you know, it's Prydwen. People like to freak out over them quite often, but honestly, I do think they've made a lot of really good changes here, and hopefully we do see a kind of you know, change come into the game in the future. Maybe Roccia will go up, you know, in the future. I don't really know. But hey, we'll have to wait and see, and hopefully we do get an update very soon. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you think. Do you think the Roccia is fairly placed, or do you think that maybe she should be placed a little bit higher? I think honestly she's in a good place at the moment, and hopefully we'll see her go up in the future. Again, it's really nothing to worry about. If you're freaking out over a character being rated on a tier list, then you probably need to, you know, chill out a bit and maybe take a little bit of a break, because again, it's really not the end of the world. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. That's all. See ya.